polyphonic narrative and the novel in story structure also works really well because everybody in this family has a voice and everybody in this family has a story to tell. Hi everybody, it's Kia of Kia Comments, and I'm here to talk about These Ghosts Are Family by Maisie Card. This book centers around the Jamaican Paisley family. The book moves back and forth mainly between Jamaica and New York City, but we spend a bit of time in the UK. So without further ado, let's get into it. The book starts off with the story of Abel Paisley, who has assumed the identity of Stanford Solomon. Abel Paisley left Jamaica in the 1960s/70s and went to the UK to make money and find a better life for himself and the family that he left in Jamaica. Instead, what Abel Paisley does is take the opportunity to assume an entirely new identity when his friend Stanford is killed on the docks where they both work. Assuming that Abel Paisley is the man that is killed, rather than Stanford, gives Abel the complete and total ability to assume his life, and he does so, leaving behind his wife and 2 children in Jamaica. When the book opens, Abel is dying. He knows that he doesn't have long to live, and he has brought his Jamaican daughter, who he left behind, into his home in New York and gathered his granddaughter to confess what it is that he has done over the past 3 decades. From here, we learn the stories of all of those connected with Abel Paisley, from the slave owners that his family worked under in the 18th century to the granddaughter who found out that the grandfather that she knew didn't really exist in the 1990s and 2000s. I found the story structure deeply compelling. I liked the fact that it was a polyphonic narrative. Though the story starts from Abel/Stanford's perspective, we get to see the perspectives of Vera, Abel's wife, who he left in Jamaica. We get to see the perspective of his granddaughter. We get to see the perspective of his son, whom he left in Jamaica. We get to see the perspective of a white ancestor of the slave owner who owned Abel's people in Jamaica. Ostensibly, this can be read as a collection of short stories or a novel in short stories, but I think that something about the way that the structure is built makes it read more like a novel as opposed to short stories. The polyphonic narrative and the novel in story structure also works really well because everybody in this family has a voice and everybody in this family has a story to tell. And in telling these stories, as readers, we get a much fuller picture, not a whole picture, but a much fuller picture of not only this family, but of families in general. Families that don't tell the whole truth to one another, families that are fractured, families that have ancestors that they never knew about, families who come together or who are torn apart in ways that they cannot even begin to conceive of. The other thing that I adored about this story was the patois. I found that Maisie Card rendered the dialect, the patois of Jamaica, excellently. I just loved the effort that she put into making the novel as authentic as it can be, placing the language of the country in which each of the characters lives inside their mouths. It was beautifully done. The other thing that I am in awe about is the fact that this is a debut novel. This is Maisie Card's first novel, and for a first novel, it is really well done. For a second novel, it's really well done. For a third novel, it is really well done. She did that ish. You heard it. She did it. I really, really, really enjoyed this novel. You know, she really played with structure. I felt as though she had fun with it, and I also felt as though she took care with it. There are journal entries, which is reflective of the 1800s when slave owners owned slaves in the Caribbean. There are fabulous passages, which is very reticent of the folklore in Jamaica. And at no time, to me, did it feel gimmicky. I really felt as though the author walked the fine line between having fun with what you can do with the literary form and taking care not to overdo that fun. It was just a well-balanced, well-wrought novel. If you loved Marlon James's The Brief History of 7 Killings or The Book of Night Women, if you loved Junot Diaz's Drown or The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, then this is a book that you should check out. Maisie Card is a writer to watch, and I will be looking forward to anything else that she brings out, whether it's a short story in a literary journal or her sophomore novel. You should be looking out for her too. But that is it. That is all. Please keep an eye out for my next set of reviews. Until then, keep reading, keep writing, keep reviewing. Bye now.